Good day, everyone. Today we're going to talk about validation versus self-validation. So, what is that anyway? Well, let's get into it. First of all, I want to say that I am no psychologist, okay? I am not an expert, and I don't say this in a condescending way. But if you do need some help, professional help, I do strongly recommend you get it, okay? This is a very heavy topic, okay? So I'm making a disclaimer. I'm not giving you professional advice. I'm giving you my opinions about things, okay? So let's get into it. Have you ever felt good about something you did and then one person reaction changed everything? Or worse, they said nothing at all? And suddenly you're thinking, was it even good? Did I mess up? Did anyone even notice? If that happened, then right there is how validation controls you. Okay? Uh, Today, I want to talk about something we deal with, but we rarely name validation versus self validation. And I want to talk about the power of self validation. This is not meant to be a lecture, it's a long form YouTube video. Video, it doesn't have to be YouTube, and there's other places where this will be, but this is not just advice. This is a conversation between you, the viewer, and me, okay? About why some of us crave to be seen and what happens when we learn to see ourselves first. Okay, that's what's most important. I'm going to give you an example to start off with. Hopefully, it resonates a little bit. It's maybe not everyone's had the same experience exactly like this, but they can relate to it, I think. Let's call this the supermarket story when nice becomes need. So, years ago, I worked the night crew at a supermarket, midnight to 8 a.m., stocking shelves. Quiet work, no one to bug me, not many customers, small crew. The hours were not really good. I used to call it the graveyard shift, midnight to 8, because everyone should be dead asleep, but that's okay. Some of us work night shift. Anyways, sometimes, the morning manager would walk in, I don't know, maybe around 7:30 a.m., before our shift ends, and he or she would look around and say, wow, this looks great. Good job, crew. And of course, I would say thank you. I appreciate that. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Well, because it's simple, it's normal, and it's human. But one day, a coworker, older than me, not really a friend, uh, not someone I would trust in full, not someone I particularly disliked, but anyways, he said the following to me. You know what, buddy? You needed to hear that. You need to hear that. I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, in order for you to feel better, you need to hear from the manager that you did a good job. Huh. Hmm. Now, I got to say, at the time, I was offended. I denied it. I said, I don't need that. It's nice, but I don't need it. But let me ask you there, don't you think it's nice to hear that? He goes, yeah, but I don't need it. You do. Now, I've reflected on that. It was very offensive, for one thing. Um, and, you know, I didn't like it. Um, but I wondered at the time, did I not like it because it was true what he was saying? Or did I like it because did not like it because he was making an assumption? Or that he was making a power move to make himself look like he's more evolved than me? Maybe a combination, if I'm being honest. Because you could look at it and say, well, the guy wasn't trying to be mean to you. It was not to shame you. It was just to point at something that was real. Maybe. Or maybe just to make himself look better. But either way, let's just say he was right for a moment. And I'm not saying he was, because he wasn't, but let's just say he was. The point is, it's one thing to enjoy validation. Nice job, everyone. It's another to depend on it. Oh, I need the manager to say that to me all the time. And what's the difference? Like, that changes everything, doesn't it? I mean, if I'm seeking out someone's validation, you got to think about the truth about people. They're inconsistent, they're distracted, they're biased, they have their own bad days. If your confidence rises and falls based on whether someone noticed you today, your inner life becomes a roller coaster that you didn't choose to ride it. Okay? But did you? let's just say I was that person to think, if I just work hard enough, people will see it, and then I'll feel okay. And then I'll get validated because they said I did a good job. But then let's look at the opposite. What happens when they don't see it? Or when they do, and then tomorrow they don't? You're left chasing, always chasing that validation. Now, for me, it was nice to hear that someone said to me that I did a good job. And if they're genuine about it, it felt even nicer. It even felt better, because that's human. But then I've worked plenty of other nights where I did a good job, where I didn't need someone to tell me that I did a good job. And that's the best thing. If you know you did a good job and no one noticed or no one said it to you, but you know yourself it was good enough, that's self-validation. That's the difference. Okay? But let's talk about why we're wired for validation and why it's kind of okay. Because let's be honest, we all like being complimented. I do, you do, everyone does. Positive words feel good. Being seen feels good. That's not a weakness. That's being human. Think about it. From the time we're babies, we look up to our caregivers, whoever they are, and am I safe? Do I belong here? Am I okay? And I think we need to separate that as adults, though, because as kids and as adults, we have to look at things differently. Okay? I got my cat here behind me. Maybe my cat needs some validation as well. But I'm busy making this video, so let's focus on you. Okay, let's think of validation like emotional nutrition. Okay? If you get no validation at all, it's unhealthy and damaging. Okay? Think of it as food as well. If you get none at all, it's unhealthy and damaging. Okay? Emotional nutrition, being too dependent on others, that's unstable, that's fragile. Okay? Emotional nutrition, balanced, like having a balanced meal is healthy, right? Balanced, get some validation from others, but mostly from yourself, that's resilient. Okay? The problem isn't wanting validation. The problem is making it the foundation of your self-worth. Because here's the truth. People are biased, okay? You can't rely on what they think of you. Now, let's talk about when validation is a trap. It becomes an addiction, okay? Let's be honest, if you constantly need validation, you become needy. And I'm not saying that to insult anyone. I really don't want to offend anyone. But let's think about it. Is it enjoyable being around someone who always needs reassurance? Imagine you're the person having to be positive and give the validation. They ask you, did I do okay? Are you sure? Was that good? Do you like it? Are you sure about that? After a while, it becomes exhausting. And not just exhausting for the person trying to validate the person in a positive way, but for the person asking for the validation. Because that person is now checking, the person asking for validation, they're checking reactions, they're reading people, they're waiting to be fed. Give me some more. Oh, I feel better. That's not healthy. That's not a healthy dynamic at all. That's where validation could be addictive because it gives you that hit. Okay? I'm okay. I matter. I did good. But it doesn't last. So what happens? I need another hit. You did a good job. Okay, great. Thank you. Did I do well with my homework? Yes, you got an A+. Well, great. Fine. I opened the door for you. Yes, thank you for doing that. It becomes a hit after a hit after a hit. Another. That's not confidence. That's dependence. And at some point you have to realize something. It's also very tiring to care that much about what other people think. Why put yourself in that mental prison like that, where your mood depends on someone noticing you, someone praising you, someone approving you? That's not freedom. That's a trap, okay? And sometimes it's okay to ask for feedback, but there's a difference between feedback and getting validation. For an example, someone had made me some dinner sometime, and they asked me, what do you think? And I honestly thought it was good, and I said so. I said, well, this is good, thank you. That's great, tastes great. Well, but what do you think of it? I think it tastes good. I like the way it tastes. It's good. Is there anything critical that you would say about it? Any negative? And I thought, well, that's an odd question, or two questions. But then I thought, are we talking about the food here? Or is it more about how to tell me more so I can feel better about myself? And I told that person, please, you have to accept my answer. Accept that I liked it. Accept that I do like it. Because at some point, you got to say something like, I did something good without needing someone to confirm it. Okay? I did something good. I made a good meal. That's what matters. Okay? I did a good job with something. That's the heart of self-evaluation. It's not ego. It's not saying, I did a great job with this cooking. I'm the best in the world. No, I'm not saying that. But if you can say that I did a good job with doing this, that's not ego. It's not even pretending you're perfect. It's not even saying I'm amazing at everything, okay? It's not even saying I'm amazing. It's just a very simple acknowledgement of yourself. Think of this also as a tunnel, okay? If you rely on one source for validation, you're living in a tunnel. That one opinion from that one person fills your entire view. One reaction feels like the truth. Look at social media. One of the worst places, sorry, social media. And if you, by the way, if you like this video, you can give me a like, but I'm not going to take it as validation, okay? But I'll be happy if you give me a like, but I won't cry about it either. I won't even cry about it if you give me a thumbs down. But my point here is this, social media, okay? Have you ever posted something like a video, a photo project, and then kept checking your phone, waiting for reactions? You refresh any hearts? You refresh any let's see, any thumbs ups? Okay, let's take a look. Not yet. No, let's take a look again. Oh boy. You're checking, you're refreshing, you're wondering if it's good enough based on how many likes it gets. That's the problem with this. That's the modern problem. That's the modern version of the same pattern. Instead of one person at the supermarket for myself, now it's a whole audience measured in numbers. Instead of a voice, it's like a count. Instead of a conversation, it's a reaction metric. And when that metric becomes your emotional anchor, something changes inside of you. You stop asking, do I like this? You start asking, will this get attention? But you got to remember, attention is inconsistent. Trends change, algorithms change, people get distracted. What went viral yesterday might be dead tomorrow. If your self-worth is tied to that unstable system, then your peace will keep shaking. Self-validation isn't the act of stepping back and saying, no matter how many likes this gets, it still matters that I showed up. It still matters that I tried something new. Even for me making this video, I'll be honest, I made about 4 different versions already. And I don't know if this is the one I'm going to publish. Probably it is, because I'm getting tired of making it. But if people like it, great. If they don't, it's okay too. But here's the point. I'm doing this. I showed up. It matters. I tried something new. I've never made a video like this before. And I've gone from a tunnel to an open room. You can still give me your feedback in the comments, and I appreciate it. And you can be constructive with your criticism, and you can give me praise. I'll like it. But here's the thing. Let's go back to everyone in general, not just me. I'm widening the tunnel. I've gone from a tunnel to an open room. I can still see feedback. I can still see praise. I can still see criticism. But those things don't control you. They're just part of the picture. Okay, there's an airplane in the background flying by when I'm making this video. See, this is why I don't like making videos in some ways, because there's all these distractions. A car goes by, someone's knocking at my door, my cat's asking for my attention, my dog might ask me for attention. I don't have a dog actually, but I used to have a dog a long time ago. Let's go back to the video. Sorry. So how to self-validate? See, I'm getting distracted now. How to self-validate? Okay, this is very important. What does self-validation look like? It's simple. It's not easy. It's a way to self-validation is a way to sort of emotional regulation. What it means is you notice how you feel, you name it, you acknowledge it makes sense, but not respond to yourself kindly, not harshly. So you respond to yourself kindly, not harshly, the other way around. So Notice how you feel. I feel frustrated. Okay? Do I accept that I feel frustrated? Yes. Does it make sense? Yes, it does. Because um, the airplane flew by and it's distracting me from making this video. My cat needs attention. My cat needs some validation. Now, separate my worth from it. Okay? Am I making a good video here? Oh my goodness. Maybe this video sucks and no one likes it. Oh no. Well, this one outcome doesn't define me, and it doesn't define you either. Okay? But let's acknowledge my effort. I made a video. I showed up. I tried. That matters. And what do I do next? I don't know. I'll take constructive feedback. I'll learn from it. I'll make more videos. Or not. But my life goes on. Okay? So notice how you feel. Name it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that it makes sense. Respond to yourself kindly, but not harshly. Okay? Recognize what you feel. Okay? Name it. Okay? I feel disappointed. That's okay. That's not a judgment on yourself. That's just aware that you're disappointed. Okay? Why am I disappointed? Because I didn't get a high enough score in that test. Or I didn't win the game. Okay? Does that make sense why you're disappointed? Yeah, it does. But just because I didn't get a high score in that test, or I didn't win the game, what should I do about that? Well, you've accepted it, but does it define you? No, it does not. That one outcome does not define you, because if you took the test again, you'd probably do better. If you played the game again, you'd probably improve. But did you try? Yeah, I was there. I tried, did my best. That's what matters. So what do I do now next? Should I panic? Nope. Should I feel insecure? Nope. Am I clear about what happened? Yep. And what if I'm not sure about all that stuff? Well, that's where the danger of validation comes in, because you're asking people to almost, try to make you feel better or uplift you. But here's the thing. Shift that thinking to feedback. Instead of asking, am I okay? You say to yourself, I don't know yet. That's okay. That's self-validation. Now, when you ask others, you're getting their feedback. Not to feel good about what they said, but to learn from what they said. Okay? All right. Let's talk about values, feedback, and not shrinking yourself. So when you're trying to get approval for something, which you shouldn't do anyways, but don't lower your values just to get approval, because if you do, you might get some praise, but you lose self-respect. Let's just say I did a test that I aced, but I already knew all the answers. Maybe, for example, I know a second language, but I don't tell the teacher about that, and of course, I pretend I'm not fluent in the language, and I do perfect. Okay. How did I do, teacher? Well, you did great. Okay. Don't do it. That's not maybe the right example, but I'm just saying you don't lower your own values just to get approval, right? Because you lose your own self-respect and it's not worth it. So let's separate this from feedback. Feedback is honest. It's for learning and growing. Dismissal and comparing yourself to others is not. And seeking someone's approval is not the answer either. When someone comes to you seeking validation, okay, let's just say you're the one that they're being seeking, or you're being asked to give validation to. Don't dismiss them outright, okay? Did I do a good job and you don't think they did? Don't say they did a terrible job. And don't say, well, Bob did better with that than you did, or Sally did better with this than you did. That's comparing, okay? So you don't dismiss them and you don't compare them. Say, for example, I'm saying I have a tough time finding a job, and someone says, oh, well, you've got a house that's paid for and a nice car, so you must be doing okay. That's dismissal, okay? That's not validating them. They might be really having a hard time finding a good job. And yes, they might even say, well, you could be that person on the street there living there and have no money. That's comparing to someone else's suffering. So dismissing someone and comparing them to someone else, do you think that helps them? That doesn't validate anybody, okay? That's offensive, if anything. That said, you can still validate their feelings. I hear you. That makes sense. That sounds really hard, okay? You might have a different opinion, but you got to be careful about what you say, especially not dismissing what they think and how they feel, and not comparing them to other people, but try to put yourself into their shoes. So if you have feedback, offer it as a separate thing for learning, not for control. Validation means I see you. I see you, okay? I hear you. That's hard, okay? That sounds hard. That makes sense. Don't say I understand because you're not in their shoes, but say that makes sense what you're saying. Feedback is different. Validation is I see you. Feedback is here's how I think you can grow, okay? Here's how I think you can grow. Both are useful, but they're not the same thing as needing approval. Okay? Let's talk about freedom and control. Okay? Some things are out of your control. Other people's opinion, they're not one of them. So why would you build your self-worth on something you can't control? That's unstable by definition. Self-validation is not about isolation, by the way. It doesn't mean you never need support. It does not mean you should avoid closeness or reject encouragement from other people who care about you. In fact, healthy relationships often involve mutual validation. Being seen by others still matters, but the difference is where your foundation is. Do you appreciate your support? Okay, do you appreciate support, or are you unable to function without it? Okay, do you welcome praise, or do you collapse in its absence? Do you learn from feedback, or do you hand your entire identity over to whoever is speaking? That is the real question, because there is freedom in being able to say, I appreciate your approval, but I do not live on it. There may be value in your perspective, but my worth is not something you get to define. I can listen, reflect, and learn, and still remain anchored in myself. Now let's be clear. I'm not saying never care what anyone thinks. That's not realistic or human. Validation is nice. It's good. But here's the thing. Don't make validation a requirement, because at the end of the day, your goals are yours. Your values are yours. Your life is yours. You can enjoy validation. You can appreciate compliments, but don't depend on them. Okay? Other people's approval is optional. I'm going to say that again. Other people's approval is optional. Your self-approval is mandatory. That's not a slogan. That's freedom. It's not perfect, but steadier. Not invulnerable, but freer. Not beyond human need, but less trapped by it. And maybe that is the goal. Not to eliminate the human desire to be seen, but to stop making your entire emotional life dependent on what other people think and see. Okay? So, let's summarize here. Other people's approval is optional. Validation is addictive. Feedback is okay. Validating other people is okay. Giving constructive feedback for them to grow sensitively is good. Don't lower your values to get approval. Don't get caught in a tunnel. Get other people's opinions. Open the road, okay? If you don't know what to think about something yet, that's okay. Control what you can. And remember, your real freedom is the power of self-validation. Thanks for listening. And thanks for listening to my fourth time of trying to make this video. Have a good day.